Hey, in this video, we're going to look at the Charley Forge. I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to look at all the features. We're going to look at what you can create with it. And it's named after and inspired by one of my favorite Instagram creators, Charles Misi. And it enables you to make something like this, basically. Although it's got many features and really the sky's the limit. You can get all kinds of looks with it. And I'd love to see what you come up with. But initially, it was kind of intended to be something along those lines. So let's jump into it. So like the other forges, it starts with this dialog box with Claude where you can plan out the text, or you can just jump into it and put the text in yourself if that's your preference. But for this example, we'll use the text creation process. So I will prompt it with something like, let's... Oh, learn to love myself. Why not? That's a nice element. So this, it's once I send it, it's going to come up with some text ideas. It might ask you a question, or there's a little bit of back and forth to really refine it. Um, and it's based on the data in your brand. So the more information about yourself, your mission, your backstory, etc., that you've fed the system, the more it's going to be able to bring your ideas to life. So it combines your brand with some behind the scenes examples of references of great content. And so yeah, let's see what it comes up with. So I'll send that. I'll just pause the video for a sec, even though it's very fast. Okay, so it has come up with some text. Now, when I'm creating content, normally I will I'll give it some feedback. I'll be like, I like this, I don't like that, etc., etc. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and click the Apply to Slides button. And what that's going to do is that's going to send the text into the designs. So it has now sent it down here. And as you can see in the preview, it's applied it to the slides in the carousel. And so each slide has its own section here. The first slide is unique in that it's got the headline, the subheadline, etc. And by default, it will put the first brand image that you have applied in your brand settings to the first slide as well as the last slide. And then the second image by default out of the box will be the background for the other ones. So let's kind of go through it. There's the typography section. So you can like, depending on what fonts you've added in your brand settings in the aesthetic section, you can change this. So okay, so so the first time you generate, it's going to ask you to save the project, and then it gets sent to the post library. So we'll do that, and now hang on, and now yeah, so it's reversed the fonts. In this case, it kind of doesn't really work because Bibisnoi is really very suited for titles, and Inter is very flexible. Like, we could do all Inter if we wanted, and that's going to look pretty good. I find that the text is a little bit big, and let's make it white. And we can make it all uppercase. And then also, let's say we wanted to make it a little bit darker. The overlay, we could crank it up to 80. And then let's say we want to, well, I'll just apply that. So that's what we've got now. I want to bring in a different image. So I'm going to refer to some of the images that I've got stored in my library. I'll just pick a random one. You know, I could spend all day picking images, but let's pick an oldie. And I'm actually going to drag it up. As you can see, you can drag to reposition it. And yeah, because the text is quite big in this subheader, there's not a lot of room for the image to show. So let's see where we're at. Yeah, so it's still, I mean, we'll move it as far up as we can. I'm also going to make that more like that. And yeah, let's see how that's looking. Okay, so yeah, that image is not really working, but anyway, I won't get too caught up in maybe this one, which actually makes no sense in terms of the theme of it, but in terms of the layout, it actually makes sense because you can see me there. So now let's move on to, so yes, slide 1 is kind of unique, and I'll bring that down really, or maybe that's too dark or too light, I mean. So let's move on to slide 2. So what do we have going on here? Well, we could add an image. So yeah, and this is actually from my corporate days, so actually that's kind of more on point. And so I'll show you what that looks like. So when you add an image, it makes it like split screen top and bottom, but you can choose to put it in the top if you want. And then just to demonstrate some different options, like we could turn the brand name off because in this case, it's kind of a necessity to do it there. Oh, another thing, speaking of that, is yeah, so I'm gonna actually go with Ignite the Tribe rather than my personal name. So as you can see now, it says Ignite the Tribe rather than, so that's just kind of a personal preference or whatever. So this is looking good. Out of the box, it applies the primary brand color to uppercase words. So that was unintentional in this case, which could be it's fine the way it is, but you can actually turn that off. There's a setting here, primary color on uppercase. Turn that off. Yeah, let's move on to the third slide, and I'm just going to show you some different options. Let's make this light. So that's gonna turn this into a light theme as opposed to a dark theme. That'll make sense in a moment. So we're on the slide 3 settings. I'm gonna turn off the background image, and let's generate that. And see, as you can see, it's now a light carousel. And so no background image, it just looks like that. So that's kind of great. Slide 4, we could add, you know what we could do? We could do a custom background image because by default, they're all going to have this image here. But if you want, you can add a custom background image. And I'll refer to, yeah, I don't know, just a random one. This one's kind of funny. Let's see how that looks. Great. If I felt like maybe there's too much text, what I could do is I could like add another slide in, and then I could take like some of the text and put it down here. And then let's say this, we really want to emphasize this message for some reason. We can make that a headline, and we could turn off the background image, and we could turn off the brand name. So it's just going to be like that text big. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. And then it's like, you can maybe make that on a different, you know, play around with it. Next we got slide 6, and let's add an image there. It's got a lot of text, so we're going to probably want to bump some of the text to another slide. So I'm going to cut some of that. I'm going to create a new slide. Boom. I'll add image to this one as well. And we could do that one upper half just for a little variety. So yeah. So that's looking pretty awesome. And then there's this light box where you can really preview how everything's coming along. And yeah, I think that pretty much demonstrates most of the stuff. What else? There's some more settings like we're looking at slide 8 to the overlay. Like let's say we want the background to be like more the overlay over top of it. We want that to be darker. And then maybe we want the text to, oh, and then you can also like right align or left align as opposed to center align. So let's see how that looks. So see how the text is now smaller, it's left aligned, and the background is more like the overlay, the opacity of the overlay is greater on it. So if you want to create a new slide at the end, there's that button. It's automatically created the caption or the post description, and it's been saved to the post library. So that is the Charley in a nutshell. So yeah, go ahead, play around with it. Let's see what you come up with.